I feel like I'm doing that challenge where it's like describe an anime really badly, except it's with books. Hi guys, and welcome to another brand new video. Today I'm going to be doing a huge massive book haul. It's going to be basically like 3 or 4 months worth, like March, April, May and June, because it's been a while since I've done a video. I had to sign an NDA, so I can't really say much anyway, but basically back in March I got booked on a movie shoot for 3 months. I fully intended to be doing YouTube videos alongside that. I thought I could do them on my days off, but this shoot was so intense that I just couldn't. I mean, we had to do boot camps, there was a lot of physical activity in a costume that was quite hard to move in. It was like really long 14-hour days, up at like 4, 5, sometimes even 3 o'clock in the morning. And basically on days off, all I did was sleep for like 12 hours straight and then just lay in bed dying. So yes, I'm back. You guys over on Twitter encouraged me to do this giantly massive book haul, so I'm going to have to change things up a little bit for this video. I won't be able to go into as much detail as I normally would. I think we should get started while I'm still young, because I'm probably going to have aged 50 years by the time we finish doing this.
On my stress.
First of all, we're going to do the books that I got for my birthday as part of my birthday book haul. Hakane and Hannah Volume 1. This is a really cute little romance manga. It's hilarious. I love the art. It's so cute. And obviously I liked it because at some point during March, April, May and June, I picked up volumes 2 and 3 as well. Tales of Zestiria, volumes 1, 2, 3 and 4. If you've played the game or watched the anime and you know what my name is, then you probably know why I'm stoked about this series. Next up is State of Sorrow by Melinda Salisbury. I haven't managed to get to this one yet. I've literally just caught up on review books, and I am planning to blitz my TBR and read all of those books that I still haven't read yet, that you guys are like, how have you not read that yet? That's going to be a thing of the past. I'm super excited for it. I love Melinda's books. I completely love the Sin Eater's Daughter series. It's one of my favourites. And then, of course, in Fairy Loot, we got the hardcover version. So I have the hardcover and the paperback, which I do not have a problem with. Bookplate's really cute. Next up is Hero at the Fall by Alwyn Hamilton. I picked this one up because, obviously, it's the final book in the trilogy. And now that I'm finally caught up on my review books, I can binge read the whole trilogy, but I probably won't have time to do it before Yauk. Those were all from my family. The next 2 books are from one of my very good bookish book blogger friends, Shaz. She sent me this really sick t-shirt that's an anime t-shirt that I'm totally going to wear for one of my anime videos. But she also sent me these 2 books, and the first one is Till Death by Jennifer Armentrout. You guys know I freaking love Jennifer's books. I will read anything that is written by her. I just completely love her work. Didn't have this one and it was on my list, and Shaz got it for me because she knows me so well. And the other book that Shaz got me is Sight Witch by Susan Dennard. Shaz and I are thread sisters, so of course this was a necessary book for her to get me. This is the novella that's all about Ryber and how she meets Cullen, and it should fill in some blanks about Ryber. So that was the birthday book haul portion of this book haul. Next up is everything else, but they're all kind of jumbled up and I can't remember which book I got sent in which month. Raven Cry by Ed McDonald. This is the sequel to Blackwing. I have read this because I was part of the blog tour for it. It's been 4 years since the end of Blackwing. You've got the Bright Lady making appearances across the city and the cultish followers that, you know, completely obsessed with her and are completely shady as, and you totally know they're up to no good. Someone's broken into Crowfoot's vault and stolen something they shouldn't have that's quite important. Blackwing was dark, gritty, completely brilliantly written, and so is Raven Cry. It's the perfect sequel, and I genuinely couldn't put it down. A Reaper at the Gates by Sabata here. This is the 3rd book in the Ember in the Ashes trilogy. I was sent this by the publisher and I pretty much read it straight away. You can really see how far the characters have come. They go on quite the journey. This book, there's multiple POVs. Again, it kept me hooked, to get me on the edge of my seat. Marcus is completely cray-cray. He has literally gone straight to crazy town. And bizarrely, I found myself feeling a little bit sorry for him at one point. Elias is changing. He's going down a different path. Leia's changed a lot. And then you have Helen, who is kind of trying to protect her sister and trying to keep both of them alive, with Cray Cray Marcus throwing temper tantrums. The ending had me screaming and shrieking, and now the wait for the next book is once again long. Very long. Next up is Arrowheart by Rebecca Skye. I was sent this to review by the publisher. I love the mythology to it. I love the characters. They were all, well, I love the characters except for one character who I really didn't like, and I'm still reading it like I still don't like you, but maybe she'll be redeemed in book 2. Possibly. MC, anytime she kisses a guy, he falls in love with her and will do anything she says. She's descended from Eros, who is obviously one of the gods. Interestingly, our MC doesn't really see it as a gift, she sees it as a curse, and the ending for this took a completely surprising twist. Next up is Jewels and Deceptions by Cindy Anstey. I've seen a lot of people bigging up her books and I am weak for historical romance. So I thought I would finally check out one of her books, and I needed to spend £10 to get Prime shipping. Basically, we have Lydia. She's going to marry the guy her father has determined that she's going to marry, but then she gets kidnapped and things go awry. Peril by Joss Sterling. I love Joss Sterling's books. You guys probably know this. I think they're a lot of fun. I think they're original and entertaining, and the romance is always cute and gives me the warm and fuzzies, and basically Joss Sterling books lift my mood when I'm feeling really crappy. And we have our main character, Mary, who can see peril, which is a colour in the UV spectrum. She's the last of her kind. There are people after her who basically want to kill her because of what she is and what she can see. Traitor Prince by CJ Redwine. I completely love this series. They don't follow on from each other, they're not connected, so you can read one without having read the others. They're basically all fairy tale retellings set in the same world. We've had The Shadow Queen, which is a retelling of Snow White, The Wish Granter, which is a retelling of Rumpelstiltskin, and this one is a retelling of The Prince and the Pauper. CJ does an absolutely brilliant job of twisting them and breathing new life into these old fairy tales, which aren't stories I generally see getting retellings. Prince Javan, who's been away at boarding school, and he returns, but an imposter has taken his place and he gets thrown into this kind of like gladiator style battle arena that he has to survive to prove who he is and take his place. The Burning Maze by Rick Riordan. I don't really want to say too much about this one because it's the third book in a series and I don't want to spoil it. Apollo has been turned human and he has to help Meg liberate the 5 oracles. In this particular book, they're heading to a labyrinth to chase after the 3rd Emperor. That was a really bad description. Grace and Fury by Tracy Banghart, and this is an exclusive hardcover that was exclusive to Fairy Loot because it's only going to be published in the UK as a paperback, and we also got it super early. Nissa has really gone all out for this. Obviously you've got the jacket and the back and then the signed book plate and the inside end papers, which are super pretty, but it is under the dust jacket. Not all prisons have bars quote on the front and on the back. The silhouette. Next up is Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik. This is a retelling of Rumpelstiltskin and it is completely freaking brilliant. Miriam's father's a bit too nice and a bit too kind, and basically he lent money out to the villagers, and when he goes to collect back what they owe, they always fob him off with excuses and they get really like outraged that he expects them to pay them back. And Miriam basically has enough one day. I mean, you would too. She becomes really renowned as a moneylender. She attracts the attention of a fairy king who kind of low-key reminded me of a White Walker, and she has to change the silver he gives her into gold or face the consequences. The Queen's Rising by Rebecca Ross. Spoken about this book before, but just a quick recap. In the world of this book there are 5 different passions, and our main character kind of belatedly picks knowledge as her passion. She ends up without a patron, but then a shady lord offers her patronage because he has this little revenge scheme. Beyond a Darkened Shore by Jessica Leek. This was a Fairy Loot book, and it's one that I've had my eye on, and as we all know, Anissa is psychic and she knows these things. Book plate. Our MC is a princess, her land is mired in war, and she can control people's minds and actions, and she uses that to keep her people safe. Basically, this crow arrives and starts whispering in her ear warnings about threats of a darker threat. Charmcaster by Sebastian de Castel. This is the 3rd book in a series. The covers are always completely gorgeous. Destiny has a dark side, yo! Our MC Kellen is on the run from mages and bounty hunters, and his life is about to get a lot worse. Legendary by Stephanie Garber. I finally got to read Caraval, like last month. It's only taken me this long. For those of you who don't know, for the first print run of both Caraval and Legendary, there were like different covers you could collect. So I had to go all the way into Waterstones and stand there like a complete freak, taking the dust jackets off of all of their copies of Legendary to find the cover that I wanted. But on the plus side, I did get the cover that I wanted. Yay! On the downside, I was literally taking the dust jackets off of all these books, and I went through like freaking 5 copies before I found this one, and I was like, oh my god, finally. And of course it was like the last one. A Court of Frost and Starlight by Sarah J Maas. Kind of lost track of what's going on. So this is a novella that's about the Night Court, and it's set after A Court of War and Ruin, and I think it's bridging the gap between A Court of War and Ruin And the next book, Olivia Twist by Laurie Langdon. I got sent this by Harper 360 and this is such a cracking little read. It is a retelling of Oliver Twist, except Oliver is a female called Olivia who kind of was an orphan and ran around pretending to be a boy because it was safe that way, and she ends up finding her family and she's taken in by her uncle and she becomes a lady, but then Dodger shows up from her past. One of those reads that I kind of wasn't sure 100% what to expect, but I was looking forward to it and it kind of ended up blowing me away more than expected. Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. For those of you guys who don't know, it's the 200th anniversary of the book this year and Penguin sent me this really cool little package. It had this little edition of Frankenstein, which has some like gnarly green sprayed edges. Cute little Mary Shelley journal with, you know, MS on it, which is her initials. And it was all wrapped in this paper. This is like a copy of the original manuscript. It has like some notes and stuff on it. Nice little fun way to celebrate Frankenstein's 200th anniversary, and Frankenstein is one of those classics that I have actually read and I did actually really like it. Jinxed by Amy McCulloch, also known as Amy Allwood, and Simon & Schuster sent me this proof of Jinxed. I have already read it and I'm on the blog tour for it, so my review will be up on August the 9th, so you guys should check it out. But I completely loved Amy Allwood's Potion Diary series. It was entertaining, it was a lot of fun, and this one is no different. So the world of this book is kind of modern, but technology has advanced more, and there are these Bakus that are like animal shaped smartphones. It's literally a smartphone that is animal shaped, and it's a companion for you, and it plays songs, it knows your likes and dislikes, it sends messages for you. Main character Lacey wants to work for Monchicle, which is the company that made these, but she gets rejected from Profectus Academy, which is the academy that she needs to go to make this happen. And she meets Jinx, who is a Baku unlike any other. I completely love this. I read it in one sitting. My review is basically just me raving about it because it was so good and the writing was brilliant and I had a lot of fun reading it. Lacey was a really great character. Jinx kind of was like a complete little shit, but he kind of was mildly terrifying as well because he's basically like a little robot thing, but the things he's thinking is a bit like, this is a horror film waiting to happen. Theatrical by Maggie Harcourt. If you love the theatre, you are gonna love this. I was part of the blog tour for this. Our main character, who is working in a theatre on this production, and we see the theatre show go from the tech and rehearsal all the way through to the finished product. Much like Unconventional, this book is very familiar ground and had me feeling really nostalgic. I'm gonna give you guys a warning about this book though, because once I finished reading it, I got really like, I wanna go to the theatre. Ash Princess by Laura Sebastian. I mentioned this in my 2018 anticipated reads. Bow. It's got a cutout and bow. Our main character is Theodosia. Her mother was murdered before her eyes and she has survived all this time under the relentless abuse of the Kaiser in his court as the ridiculed Ash Princess. And then the Kaiser kind of denies her last hope for rescue and she vows revenge. You guys are going to judge me for this. Spellslinger and Shadow Black by Sebastian de Castel. This is books 1 and 2 in the series. I already showed you guys Charmcaster. I have the hardbacks of these, but you see, I walked into Waterstones and then I saw these and I was like, oh, the covers are pretty, but you know, I have the hardcover, so I don't really need them. And then I saw that and the next thing I know, I was checking out and now I have them. In the time that I've been away from YouTube, I've discovered a lot about myself, and one of those things is that I'm really weak to sprayed edges, basically. It could be like the 5th copy I have of a book, but if it has sprayed edges, then I'm gonna buy it. I mean, at least I'm self-aware. Daughter of the Siren Queen by Trisha Levenseller. This is the sequel to Daughter of the Pirate King. I still haven't read this yet, and I'm really upset that I haven't read this yet because Daughter of the Pirate King was brilliant, the romance was well done, Alosa is an amazing main character. Obviously, Alosa now has the 3 pieces of the map that's going to lead to a legendary treasure. Vorden exposes a secret that Alosa's father has kept for years, and Alosa finds herself in a very deadly race with the Pirate King. Ink, Iron and Glass by Gwendolyn Clare. In the world of this book, there's a science called scriptology, and a certain person, a certain pen or a certain book can craft entirely new worlds. Elsa comes from one of those worlds. It's a world that her mother created, but her home is attacked and her mother is kidnapped and she has to go on a quest to find her mum. She ends up in an alternative Venice, Italy. The Extinction Trials Exile by S.M. Wilson. This is the sequel to The Extinction Trials. This is a completely cracking sequel, I'm not gonna lie. First book is The Hunger Games crossed with Jurassic Park. This one kind of airs away from that a bit because it's a little bit different. They kind of end up having to go back to the island to try and kill off the dinosaurs, basically, but things don't exactly go according to plan, and there's some amazing plot twists. If you like Jurassic Park, then you need to pick up this series because it's brilliantly done. I freaking love it. There's the dinosaurs, there's the danger, there's the tension. Arusha and the End of Time by Roshani Chokshi. Our main character Aru, who lights this cursed lamp because her schoolmates are going at her, calling her a liar, and she wants to prove them wrong, so she lights the cursed lamp, which is, you know, not a good idea, and things go swiftly downhill. The mythology in it was absolutely brilliant. Living for this series, it really reminded me of Percy Jackson because you had the mix of mythology, action, adventure and humour, but obviously it has Roshani's own twist on it, and obviously it's very different from that. Really can't wait for book 2, it kind of leaves me hanging. Warstorm by Victoria Aveyard. Check it out, it's freaking huge. I could use it as a doorstop if I want. I will say I do think this is a really good finale. I liked how things were ended, even though there were a few minorly disappointing things. My reviews on my blog if you want to check it out, but I do think it was a good series finisher. Onyx and Ivory by Mindy Arnett. I've had my eye on this book since last year, and Harper 360 sent me a copy to review, which I'm super grateful for, and I read it in one sitting. We follow Kate, and basically her father tried to assassinate the king a few years ago, so she's known as Traitor Kate, and everyone gives her a hard time. She works for the Relay, which is the Imperial Courier Service. Kate is also a wilder, and so she's born with magic that allows her to influence the minds of animals, but kind of that's not a good thing to be. Kate crosses paths with Corwin, who is the prince. They've known each other since they were children, but obviously after the awkward moment where her father tried to assassinate his father, they kind of haven't really been in touch. There's magic, dragons, action. I completely got hooked into this and ended up reading it in one sitting, and I completely loved it. And then my Fairy Loot box arrived, and Anissa hooked me up with a finished hardcover copy with black sprayed edges, and it came with this really cool character art of our two main characters. Ace of Shades by Amanda Foodie. You guys know how much I've been anticipating this book. The publisher sent me a copy. I was part of the blog tour. I read it in one go. I absolutely loved it. Our main character N has to travel to New Reigns, which is kind of the so-called City of Sin, kind of picture Las Vegas but a little bit different, because her mum's been kidnapped and she's going looking for her, and the only kind of clue she has is in this city. This clue specifically is Levi, and he is kind of the shady, morally grey, Kazbrecker kind of character that I love. Basically everything I was hoping it would be. Children of Blood and Bone by Tommy Adeyemi. I got the Waterstones exclusive because this one has nice blood red sprayed edges, which goes perfectly well with the book. Basically in the world of this book, magic was everywhere, but then one day it vanishes, and the people who do have magic are really oppressed and persecuted. Main character Zelly is one of the few that has retained her magic. She gets the opportunity to bring magic back and make a strike against the monarchy at the same time, and along with the help of a rogue princess, they set off on this journey to do just that. You guys are gonna judge me again, but it's all good, I don't mind. The Smoke Thieves by Sally Green. I got sent an arc of this by the publisher. It's a historical fantasy, it's multi-POV, it's a very original and interesting world. We have Princess Catherine, who's gonna marry a man she's never met while her true love is facing the executioner's block. We have Edyen that stands at the crossroads with destruction one way and family and fortune the other. And then we have Tasha, who is quite literally facing her demons. And I don't really want to spoil this too much, so I'm not going to elaborate on that. And I was completely blown away by the originality to it, and the writing and the world building and the characters, and I completely loved it. So, you know, I have the arc. This is the arc. The arc. And then I have the finished paperback with the pink sprayed edges. I couldn't resist because sprayed edges. I actually wasn't going to buy the paperback, walked into Waterstones and I saw it and it had the sprayed edges, and I was like, do you know what, I need that in my life, and I like the colourway. And then I have the limited edition hardcover version too. It's signed by Sally, and I'm kind of hoping they're not going to do this for every book in the series because shelf space. Once you start collecting one set of covers, you kind of have to collect them all. It's like a little Pokemon thing but with book covers. Gotta catch 'em all. Pokemon. Next up is The Outcast by Taran Matharu. I was so lucky that the publisher sent me one of these proofs. There's only 100 of them, and it's signed by Taran himself. This is the prequel to the Summoner series that focuses on Arcturus and his time at Vulcan's Academy, and I don't want to say much more because this book was such a brilliant surprise when I went in literally only knowing that. And of course I have the finished hardcover. So those were all the books that I bought or received from publishers through the months of March, April, May and June.